and welcome back to our channel and our video on exploring Ipoh. We are so excited to share this video with you as we really enjoyed our time here and definitely think this city should be on everyone's must-visit list when coming to Malaysia. Normally when we do a video exploring a new city, I show you exactly what metro stop you will need to get to each of the locations we visit. But Ipoh doesn't have a metro, so instead we'll be using a map to show you exactly how far each location is from our hotel. We're going to start with the places within walking distance and then work our way out from there. In the heart of Old Town, there are 3 lanes that were gifted to the first wife and the 2 favorite concubines of a wealthy merchant, so they would have a source of income. It is said that the first concubine was his favorite and received the best lane, and his wife the least profitable. Now obviously we don't have first-hand knowledge of what these lanes were like back then, but Concubine Lane is definitely the most popular today, and it has a ton of super cute local shops and vendors all along the lane for you to visit. It can get super busy during the morning hours as people are trying to avoid the worst of the Malaysian heat, so we definitely recommend visiting later in the evening closer to closing time if you don't like crowds. Market Lane, or Second Concubine Lane, was under construction when we visited, so it wasn't covered in local vendors like it normally would be. But honestly, that just made it easier to see all of the amazing street art that covers the walls. Sadly, Wife Lane lived up to the legend as it was definitely the least busy of the lanes, as during the day there were no vendors or tourists about at all, and at night there were only a few bars that opened up along the street. Moving a little further out, but still definitely within walking distance of our hotel, we visited a clock tower square, a local park, and a lane covered in more famous street art. The Birch Memorial Clock Tower was built to honor James Birch, the very first British resident of the area, and was erected in 1909. Each face of the tower represents a different era in the growth of human civilization. The square where it is located also has a night market and is across from a large mosque. Right beside the Kinta River is the Ipoh Riverfront Park. This has a large children's play area, lots of walking paths, and at night it turns into a local market. As we've already seen, street art seems to be a growing part of Malaysia culture, especially in Ipoh, and just across the river is a lane that is dedicated to this growing art form. The art featured along this very long lane varies in style from classic graffiti, amazing statement pieces, and beautiful pieces that reflect the local life. Now we are going to move outside of the city center to visit two popular locations that require a car to reach, as they are in the limestone cliffs that surround Ipoh. Taskinsurnan Lake is a little tourist spot about 20 minutes outside of town that has a bunch of different activities for guests to enjoy. There's a petting zoo, an ATV park, 2 boat rides within the limestone cliffs, and you can spend a few hours here doing all of the different things they offer. We came here to do the boat ride in Hidden Lake. However, it was closed when we arrived, so we had to do the one in Mirror Lake instead. To get to Mirror Lake, you first must pay the access fee for the Miners' Tunnel. Once you reach the end of the Miners' Tunnel, you'll find the ticket desk to pay for your boat ride in Mirror Lake. Once you pay, you're given a life vest and you lock your belongings in a locker, as you can only bring your camera with you on the inflatable raft. The boat ride does not go very far, and it only takes about 20 minutes, as the lake is enclosed within the limestone cliffs and is not very large. Once you're back on dry land, you can wander around the property and explore some of the free attractions, like the Sky Ladder and the Snake Mouth Cave. As I mentioned earlier, we actually really wanted to do the Hidden World boat ride, as it starts by going through a limestone cave to access the inner lake, but sadly, due to maintenance, it was closed the day we visited. The other activity we opted to do in the limestone mountains outside of town was exploring some caves that are about 40 minutes from our hotel. Now, instead of opting to use a Grab, we arranged private transportation there and back with our hotel, as the driver would wait for us on site. This location has 4 different tours to choose from, 2 self-guided dry tours and 2 wet tours that include all of your gear and your guide. We opted for dry tour number 2, as that would take us to the 5th viewing platform deep inside the cave. Before you enter the cave, you should definitely use the restroom and make sure you have plenty of water, as once you're inside, you will not find either of these available. Once inside the cave, you are going to find slippery surfaces and occasional stairs, but luckily you're able to move at the pace that best suits you. So just take your time, walk carefully, and take in the absolutely stunning views all around you. It took us about an hour to reach platform 5, which is the furthest you can go without going on a guided wet tour. But a lot of that was standing in each platform taking in all of the different views. I have to say this was probably one of our favorite activities we did in all of our time in Malaysia, so we highly recommend you taking the time to explore here, especially since it was so affordable. Now we did do one more activity while in Ipoh, but we shared that as a short that is now posted on our channel, so be sure to check that out, as well as the rest of our videos in our Ipoh playlist. Next week we'll be sharing with you one more video from Ipoh, which is a full budget breakdown of our time here. Then we'll be hopping back on the train headed to Georgetown, so make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep joining us each week as we continue our travels through Southeast Asia.